And so this poem is sort of in the context of that. I'm going to read you just a small piece from Phaedrus so you get a sense of it. So, as he being soul, as he receives the effluence of beauty eyes, the wing moistens and he warms. And as he warms, the part out of which the wing grew, and which had been hitherto closed and rigid, and had prevented the wing from shooting forth, are melted, and as nourishment springs upon him, the lower end of the wings begins to swell and grow from the roots upward, and then extends under the whole soul, for once the whole was winged. During this process, the whole soul is all in a state of ebullition and effervescence, which may be compared to the irritation and uneasiness in the gums at the time of cutting teeth. It bubbles up and has a feeling of uneasiness and tickling. But when, in like manner, the soul is beginning to grow wings, the beauty of the beloved meets her eye, and she receives the sensible warm motion of particles which flow towards her, therefore called emotion, and is refreshed and warmed by them. And then she ceases from her pain with joy. Mortals call it fluttering love, but the immortals call it winged one, because the growing of wings is a necessity. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to read you the poem, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So you can feel free to just listen, or if you want to get closer so you can read along, either way. Okay. Reading Plato. I think about the mornings it saved me to look at the hearts pen-knifed on the windows of the bus, or at the initials scratched into the plastic partition, in front of which a cabbie went on about bread his father would make, so hard you broke your teeth on it, or told one more story about the plumbing in New Delhi buildings, villages to each floor, his whole childhood in a building, nothing to love, but how much now he missed it. Even the noises and stinks he missed, the avenue suddenly clear in front of us, the sky ahead opaquely clean as a bottle's bottom. Each part and name, a kind of ditty of hopefulness, because there was one you, or another I, was leaving or going to. So many stalls of flowers and fruit going past, figures earnest with destination, even the city itself a heart. So that when sidewalks quaked from trains underneath, it seemed something to love, like a harbor boat's call at dawn, or the face reflected on a coffee machine's chrome side, the pencils, curled shavings, a litter of questions on the floor's square of afternoon light, another page I couldn't know myself by, as now, when Socrates describes the lover's wings spreading through the soul like flames on a horizon. It isn't so much light I think about, but the back's skin cracking to let each wing's nub break through, the surprise of the first pain, and the eventual lightening, the blood on the feathers drying, as you begin to sense the use for them. So, I'm just curious if there was any particular image in this poem, or anything at all really that jumped out at you.
What kind of seems to jump from one moment to another very rapidly?
Yeah, it does. Can you say more? Was there a moment of that you noticed? Not to put you on the spot.
That's okay. That's like the thing that really got me is that we were really jumping around at these sort of disparate moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it starts with him looking at like that plastic partition or in the windows of a bus, right? Yeah, it says I think about the mornings it saved me to look at the heart's penknife on the windows of the bus. And then he uses those kind of penknife and plastic to jump into a cab, right? Or the initial scratched into the plastic partition in front of which a cabbie went on about bread his father would make. So we're from a bus into a cab, right? Immediately. And then he goes into the cabbie's stories about his father. So then all of a sudden we're in a New Delhi building, right? So we're on a bus, then we're in a cab, then we're in a building in this man's childhood. And it sort of goes on that way, right? And then we go from there into stalls of flowers and fruit going past. So then we're like back in the city streets. Then we're in a coffee machine's chrome side. So yeah, I feel like that is definitely something that he's working with in this poem. Anybody else? Another image or something that they noticed? It doesn't have to be profound, just whatever stood out to you. No one?
Well, I was just thinking that, I mean, I like the story about Icarus. So, like, when it kind of went into the Greek area with Socrates, and so the lover's wings spreading through the soul like flames on a horizon, and the back skin cracking, you know, like, I kept, and the feathers and the blood and that sort of stuff, I kept on thinking about the story of Icarus. I don't know if that was like how do you say it, an allusion to it, or maybe I'm using that word term wrong.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely calling forward Greek myth, right? Which is an interesting place to go, like considering where we started, right? We're starting in a very mundane spot, right? We're on a bus. And there's like initials scratched into a window, you know, it's graffiti. And then we get from there into, you know, into mythology about the soul sprouting wings, and that maybe this allusion to Icarus of sort of like flying too close to the sun. So we go from this place of like, you know, a tiny detail in a pretty mundane part of our life into, you know, something that is soulful and beautiful and cosmic. So yeah, it's a great point.
Oh, I just wrote in the chat that I like how appreciative it is, based on kind of like the art of noticing. It feels very dreamy, and yet it still kind of grounds us through like the tactility and sensorial and sensuous, which I thought was it's kind of like how you're, you know, when you're daydreaming or zoning out, and spacing out, just something I've been thinking a lot about. How it kind of, you know, you still kind of come back to reality through kind of your senses, and so I thought that was something that I resonated with or felt in text.
Totally, thank you. Yeah, I think you said two really interesting things. I like this phrase associative progression. It's such a great description of what he's doing, and I think for me it's like particularly at the end of the poem, where, and this is actually something, this is the thing that I want to explore when we do our writing together in a couple minutes. But think about how he's doing that this associative movement. So if you look at this stanza that starts reflected on a coffee machine's chrome side, so it's the line before it, a harbor poet's call at dawn, or the face reflected on a coffee machine's chrome side, the pencil's curled shavings, a litter of questions on the floor's square of afternoon light, another page I couldn't know myself by. And then down a couple more lines he says, you know, it's not light so much I think about, but the back skin cracking. So he's using one image to move us into another image, right? That's that associative progression you're talking about. It's like it's light on the dawn, or light on a of a reflection on a coffee machine, and then it's light on the floor, and then it's not light, it's skin on the back, so it's like one little thread from one thought is then allowing us to move into another thought. So it's like, it is very dreamy, right? This is kind of how dreams work, that you can be one place, but then all of a sudden you can move into a completely new space just through it's like a portal. It's kind of like the metaverse, right? Like you can just go through a portal, and then you're in some place that's associated somehow, but it's completely new. And I think what you said too about the grounding, the other thing that you said that I liked was the grounding and the tactile descriptions. That sort of is what keeps us feeling like that we can still understand, right? That there's like something that's familiar among all of this completely unfamiliar, impossible kinds of movement. Yeah, kinship and deep connection, yeah. What do you mean by that, Laura?
I think that's kind of the beauty of poetry. I do think, like, words fail ever so often, and the fact that I don't have to be in the space this person's in, or haven't been to New Delhi, but still there's something resonant and felt that emotionally connects, whether, whatever background or experience you have prior. Like, it's something that you can still relate to on a fundamental, like, human level.
Yeah.
So that's what
I'm curious if you guys see associations in that in visual arts. Like, for me, I paint as a hobby, but it does kind of seem that in some ways when I'm painting, it's the one move determines the next move, right? It's like whatever stroke I make or whatever color I'm using, inspires sort of a new idea or a new place to go that wasn't there before. Do you guys ever feel that way, or is that something that you can see parallels with? Javier says sure. Yeah. Do you, in your work, Javier, can you give me an example, or is there a way that you think about that you want to share?
Yes, so let's say there is not so much noise here because not in a common place. I'm in a gamer place. I'm traveling now and couldn't find a better place to attend the workshop. But yes, for me, I think I find that there is a lot of coincidence between writing and drawing, because you are using sometimes tools that you try to mix your thoughts. Sometimes if you are writing, you probably try to use the time to express some ideas, and I found differences between writing and drawing, because for me, drawing, using the space, you can mix different ideas at the same time. But the difficult for writing to me, it's like you have to be linear in the ideas. You can express only by one linear time. I don't know if it's I can't express very well, but for me the difference is that with drawing you can express multiple ideas at the same time. But writing for me is more difficult because you have to be more clear about expressing one idea very well. I don't know if I'm clear or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. I I feel like it's so interesting what you're saying, because I do think that there is, like, so here in this poem, I think we can see that, like, it's not really linear, right? He's kind of, he's in one place, he's in another place, he's like in a bus, and then all of a sudden he's like, there's feathers sprouting from his back. However, each of these images are one main idea, right? And it's like he's got to put us on the bus with the heart's penknife, with the hearts in the windows, and that's one idea. And that maybe in sort of more visual arts or in drawing, it's like one specific image can generate multiple meanings depending on from what perspective you're looking at it. I don't know if that's maybe kind of what you're getting at, Javier.
Yeah, I think each author or writer has different kind of inspirations. Maybe images are so suggestive for expressing verbal thoughts, and I think maybe I have to read more because not good in English and have to like go deeper into this poem because have many information and I don't know what's the best to start, how to understand better what is he trying to say between these images that they are very like the daily life are sometimes the philosophy talk about very huge things are very deep and very profound, but he's approaching the ideas in the daily life stuff, and I think it's interesting too.
Yeah. Anybody else have a comment about this poem? We're gonna move on in just a minute, and we're gonna take kind of what Cha and some other folks have mentioned about like this, and Laura about this associative progression, sort of like taking one image and using that as a point to generate another image in writing. That's what we're gonna practice in a minute. But before we do that, does anybody have anything else they wanna share or note that kind of struck them when they read this? No? Okay, so if you guys have whatever kind of writing tool you prefer, you can use a notebook or you can use a word processor or whatever. I want to give you a chance to just try this. And there's no, pass fail. There's no way to get it wrong. But I want you to kind of start with an initial image. And you can just do it by looking around the space that you're in, for example, or you can do something that, for you, for Rick Barrett, for example, it's like, I think it's this image of hearts that keeps coming through as this sort of symbol of love, and he, starts with like hearts, penknife into a window, and then he uses that as his first jumping off point. So you could think about something that maybe represents beauty to you, or represents the soul, or represents love, and just start with a concrete image. And then I want you to try doing this sort of associative progression, like, okay, it's a heart necklace that's sitting on my desk, and then you could use any part of that image to then move to another place, like the wood in the desk is elm from, a forest in Vermont. I don't know. And so I'm just gonna give you about maybe like 8 or 10 minutes. And this is, if you haven't done this before, this is called a free write. So free writing is a really good tool to kind of break out of some of your, like, maybe resistance to writing, because often when we sit down to write, we're trying to make it quote unquote good. And that is the easiest way to kill your creativity. I'm sure you guys know that as artists. So what I suggest you do is I want you to just, think about an image to start with, and then just start writing, with this idea of progression in mind, and don't stop. Don't stop for 10 minutes until I stop you. And even if you start writing nonsense or you start writing like, I don't know what to write, that's okay. Just keep writing. So don't pick up your pen or don't, stop the movement of your fingers. And we'll just kind of go on mute for a couple minutes, and then I'll bring you back about 11:40, 11:41, something like that. Does that sound good? I'm so nervous, Eric.
Yes.
Don't be nervous because nobody
me
is
too.
ever gonna see this but you. If you want to share at the end, you can, but there's no pressure whatsoever. Yeah, lean into the scary. And you can start with this is scary. Maybe you start with an image that represents fear. So I'll bring you guys back. That's a good one. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, so I will let you guys know when we have a couple minutes left, and then I'll bring you back shortly after 11:40. Okay. Yeah, and go. give you guys like 2 more minutes. 3 more minutes. If you're feeling blocked, like just whatever the first word in your head, just write that. Or try to pull from your last image and just move it into another spot. Take free association. Alright, y'all. I think we can come to a stop. What is this little? Somebody coming in? Oh. Thank you, whoever put that up there. Was that you, Josh?
Probably area.
Okay, so how was that? Anybody have comments? Was that easy? Was it hard? Yeah, thank you. Was it easy? Was it hard? Did anything surprise you? Just general comments. Did it suck? Was it horrible? Okay, that was wonderful. Good. Laura, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was very nice, and I like sort of working with other people present. There's a group called the Tech Expressionists that kind of do that on Tuesdays. They all like meet up and then they go work and everyone's quiet and then they meet up again. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about the energy of having other people writing with you.
Yeah, I was thinking that also how just having like a focused time or pressure to have focused time to sit down and do something. It's so funny because as a kid you're kind of disciplined into it, and then you get older and there's all these other things and you distract yourself unconsciously. And it was nice to feel the virtual presence of other people, but also just okay, you have this one thing you need to do at limited time, and go do it, which is, I thought that was quite nice.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's a really great sort of, I do it to trick my brain. If I sit down and I feel kind of blocked or resistant, I'll just set a timer. And then I'm like, okay, I can be blocked for 20 minutes, or I can like write something horrible for 20 minutes, and then it'll be over. But usually once I get into it, I find that it's not horrible. Anybody else? Comments on Carrie Ann? You said that felt good to flow. Good, I'm glad. Yeah, it can get us into that flow state. I am curious if anybody would like to share part of or all of what they wrote. Ooh. Thank you, Kevin. Do you feel comfortable reading it out loud just so that we can hear it? 'Cause I feel like you can't. Oh, I can read it. Is that okay if I read it for you? Okay. I'll read it for you if that's okay with you. Okay. All right, so here's what Kevin wrote. Laura, thank you. We'll get yours next. Okay. Is there something beyond what we see? Try squinting your eyes. Sometimes something new jumps out of what appeared familiar. The face of the world could change just enough to reveal something behind. Plato would recommend shutting the eyes completely. The truth is in you anyways. Learning is more about remembering than taking in new info. But that was Plato in Greece. I was there a couple of times. Every time I walk on the Philippapu Hill, some crazy idea for a story pops up. Last time it was about forgotten gods, like if the gods from ancient times were still alive, hidden under the streets. Cats everywhere. They protect us from the gods. They keep guard in front of the holes and caves. So I'm walking on that hill and I dream I fall and wake up inside a cave. There was this particular deity that had something to do with fire and stole my lighter. I cannot smoke anymore. It's really funny. Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love I feel like it's Plato's cave that you are referencing, I believe, and it also reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with Terry Pratchett, but he has this Discworld series.
Yes! Oh my gosh! I love Discworld! Wow!
Yeah, Discworld. It reminds me of that with like these forgotten gods,
Yes, I've never heard anybody else reference that. Anyway, I'll be quiet and I'll put a link in the chat.
That was one of my favorite books when I was, I think I read it back in like middle school. But it's this idea that like all these gods are still around and they're like vying for people to believe in them because that's what gives them power. And I love the cats. So thank you so much for that, Kevin. That was great.
So actually, Kevin made a piece that had a world on the back of 4 elephants, didn't you, Kevin? I remember that work. Was that you? Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely, Ari will have to get together and talk about this one again. Since we're fans. Yeah, it's elephants all the way down. That's like I heard that reference. I don't know if this is a real reference, but I heard that it's like in Stephen Hawking's book, I think. Or it was like a woman like speaking to somebody like Stephen Hawking or Brian Greene or one of these physicists and saying like, I don't believe with your interpretation of the world. Everybody knows it's on the back.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything.
And they were like, well, what's the turtles being supported by? And she was like, well, it's turtles all the way down. Is that what you guys are referencing? Oh, okay. I'll have to watch that. I love that. Okay, Laura, would you like to read yours?
I would like to hear it from another person, so it would be great if you just read it, if you don't mind.
I'm happy to read it. Is that alright with you?
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Alright, this is Laura's. A double-door window that reflects the view on the other side of a building that looks back at the very one I am in. The window, a portal, an open channel. The only way I know really exists on the other side is the wind that flows and touches my cheek, the sound of pigeons fluttering their wings, sparrows chirping, and bygone raindrops in passing. Drip, 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 infrequently, incessantly, so stubbornly seduced by gravity. What comes and goes that does not rely on gravitational force? What comes and goes without the whisper of chance? What comes and goes without you and me, looking at you, looking at me, looking at us collectively? Clouds are forming, and a little blue island drapes the dressing. I don't know how to say this word. How do you say this word, Laura?
Archipelago?
Archipelago, a prehistoric time, a Pangea. We were all one at some point in time, whether time has changed you and me. To be together is what we were meant to be. Often we forget that we are all connected and that we are a mere drop of water in a vast sea of emotions. So never forget who you are, who we are, that we are all gravitationally interconnected, a force beyond you and me. Wow. So beautiful. I love doing these exercises with people who are like, oh, I don't, I'm not a writer, because like, when you get stuff like this, and it's like, insanely good.
It became a manifesto at some point, I realized. It was nice to see Evans because also mentioning clouds, and so that was actually quite exciting to see how, when you're like, if you have windows and look outside, there's some,
Yeah. Yeah, I love how kind of cosmic it is, right? But it's similar to the Barrett poem because it's like cosmic, but you start with this just like looking at a window that is looking like you start in the building looking at a window looking at another building, which is like that's probably the most like such a grounding modern image, Yeah. So cool. So it's so nice to see like where, we were talking about linearity or sort of like this associative progression. It's like we can start with something so mundane and like look at where we can go. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Laura. Anybody else feel like sharing or any final thoughts? Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, Javier said, oh, yes. Okay, Javier, do you want me to read it?
I would like anyone can read it.
Does anybody else want to read Javier's, or I'm happy to do it. Somebody say something? Okay, I can read it. Okay. The image that comes closest to me is fire. The image of fire represents love. Love because it reminds me of the moments lived with family before eating, together in winter in the village with my cousins and my uncles when we were little. There was nothing more than getting together to eat. And the main thing was the fire. Love can also transform into other feelings when it is not well understood. The envy between people, what we think is love, is wanting what someone else has and we don't. So we want to take it from them until we achieve what we are not. Maybe it's because we don't love ourselves enough. The image of fire is associated with a home, a fireplace in a house that is huge, but is empty all the time. I love that image. It would only be used for gathering on weekends. Then the children grow up and never return to the village. The parents meet with the uncles, but the cousins are studying, and on weekends they want to meet with their girlfriends. It no longer makes sense to eat together or to light the fire for the parents. Besides, the wives of the brothers don't get along. In fact, they hate each other. They envy each other. One wants to live in the village, the other wants to live in the city. The cousins have children with their wives, but when they go to visit the parents' house, there was no one left to light the fire. Laura? Laura, did you have your hand raised? Oh. Okay. That was beautiful. Thank you, Javier. Like, what a great way, like, this return to the fire the amazing technique you're using, you know, where it's like you're kind of taking us into a new area of something, and then you're back to the fire, and you're back to the fire, and like it just creates this beautiful like weight. It's like an emotional weight, you know, that it starts getting heavier and heavier as you go through the piece. And for me, it's this fireplace image in the middle, this empty, in a house that's huge but it's empty all the time. A fireplace in a house that's huge but it's empty all the time. Like what a haunting, it's haunting. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, cool. Ariel, you want me to read? Okay. You guys are making me work. Okay, here we go. Oh, thank you. Okay, here we go. Here's Ariel's. Love is feeling so connected that you don't need to talk or express or think. You can run around like one of Plato's monsters with 2 heads, 4 arms, and 4 legs, using anatomy to stay together like Legos locking into each other. I fear my sentence structure is naturally wonky and hard to read. My partner's structure is better, cleaner, but too much isn't expressed at all. I don't like not being able to see everything, know everything, figure everything out. I'm like a bag of groceries that is dropped on the counter so that it falls over and spills out. The contents are totally known. They roll off and hit the floor and roll all over so that they hit all 4 sides of the room. I feel the need to police my language, to my form, my expressions. I need to finesse my writing, finesse my art, finesse my writing about my art. I really need to finesse how to be a partner to another human being. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I am a work in progress, not imperfection. I don't think any of these things when we are stuck together like Legos. I just think that our bodies are so entwined that I don't know if that is your leg or my own leg. Am I touching your head or are you touching mine? I feel entitled to you. I feel like you are the pillow cover to my pillow, to me, the pillow. I feel like you are the pillow cover to me, the pillow. We are stuck and so happy in our stuckness that I wish we didn't need to move ever again. I'm just happy being in this nest with you, happy on our spot on the couch, happy that I can lay on top like a spider, and we can stay like this until Monday morning. Man, that gave me chills. That was amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, it's the place where I like completely locked in was this bag of groceries dropping on the counter, and what an interesting what an interesting detail. This line, the contents are totally known. So it's like a surprise that the bag has fallen over, but you know everything that's gonna be in it. You know, like there's no surprises in this life almost. You know, and it kind of relates, I think, to this feeling of stuckness. But then at the end, you twist it, and it's like a happy stuckness. So it's a very interesting piece. It's got a lot of movement in it, like the Barrett piece. And also, I think it's also cool. Like another thing that I think is interesting in writing and a technique that you guys can use, I think, in writing or in any art is it's a reversal of expectations, right? So you're in this very tender moment in the end where you guys are, you know, it's like we're in bed, we're with pillows, you know, and we're just, you know, our bodies are intertwined, and you're happy that you can stay on top like a spider. You know, what an interesting choice. You know, it's like spider is not what you would think in that moment, and it just makes it gives it so much more complexity. Yeah, I agree, Dennis. Bittersweet. Cool. Well, we are getting to the end of our time. Just any other last notes, questions, thoughts before we wrap? Cool. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming and trying this. I know it's new.
Wow, thank
Also,
you.
also scary. Yeah, and I guess if you guys are interested in writing, and you want to explore more, you can click on this. Actually, you can't click on this one. You can click on, well, I'll just put my website here. So I do writing coaching, for a living, and I various offers depending on where you are in your writing and what you want to do. I'm giving a master class, on August 7th, and it's free and it's online. And so if that sounds like something you guys are interested in, you can click over there and you can sign up. Or if you just want to reach out, you can do that through my website too. Anything else? You can follow me on Instagram if you want. That's me. And yeah, thank you guys so much for
Thank you.
participating and yeah.
Thank
it's
you
so fun.
very, very much. That was awesome. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. So and welcome you to join us. We're just going to be hanging out until we have Carrie Ann. Carrie Ann Shimsham is going to do a live coding workshop. And we'll just do it in this verse. And so yeah, we're gonna just go out and hang out in the open space and see who else is gonna pop in, and then we'll come back in here for Carrie and Shimsham. So thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you
Really
guys.
nice. And a lot of people came in. Yeah, give her a follow and also promote. Can I put this over next to this side? Keep this little poem over here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And also, if somebody wanted to share their writing, you can do that directly from the chat by clicking the little object button next to the text. Just kind of could be interesting.
Okay. Skills workshop with how to rotate this. Perfect. I think we should maybe turn this room when we're done into the where we're gonna put in something like an art history or library room. I think that would be nice.
What? A reading room
A reading room?
for PDFs.
Yeah, that would be great.
PDF reading room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be nice to have a PDF room. And then people can contribute, interesting PDFs. I'm not sure if I can put my arena in here. Let me see. I don't know if anybody else uses arena. I feel like I always say that, but nobody else uses it. One of the people that's coming in and out of here is Caesar Santalo, because he's told me. I feel like it might be Barrow. I feel like when people they join with Google, they have the same random name. Alright, let's see if I can share this.
Neysa, this is the first time I think you've given a writing workshop in a space like this. What do you think?
It's fun, you know.